My name is Bud Hall from University of Victoria.
I'm Selma Schewe. I work at the Social Science Research Council in New York.
The session was extremely stimulating. It was a session on, allegedly on, on the role of student engagement in communities in the context of science shops and other similar institutions. But it quickly developed, I think, partly because the presenters were, both teams of presenters were from Africa. One team from University of KwaZulu, where they're starting a new science shop.
Our focus is not only assisting the community, but we want students at the end of the day to acquire certain skills within those particular projects. Ours is to bring the gap closer and then to invite these communities that, okay, fine, we have a problem, but then we will be able to try to highlight that particular problem, then you'll be able to solve that problem on your own.
And the other fellow from the Kingdom of Busoga in Uganda.
It's a knowledge base and philosophy of life which has enabled our people for the last 1,500 years to cater for our needs, but also to cater the needs of our invaders, particularly the Arabs and the Europeans, and whose needs were massive.
What I found very interesting was the two very different approaches to relations with the community. One was kind of working within the current system and the university, and kind of in a very practical way trying to see how we can bridge the gap with the community and have a project that engages students with those problems that are there, and also seeing students as being part of the local community and addressing the problems they are facing at home and within their neighborhoods and so on. And then the other one was an approach which emphasizes more the different knowledge systems and how the colonial system of universities that there is currently in Africa doesn't value local knowledge and indigenous knowledge the way that would be probably desirable.
The content was broadened out to the whole relationship between knowledge, which is in community, knowledge which is in universities, knowledges which are inside of each other, and how do these play out, in an educational process, and in fact in shaping, these things that we call universities. So it's a very powerful, very deep. I found it much deeper than I'd anticipated going in.
I agree with you that most of what Western education has done acted like a centrifugal force. Making people far from their own local conditions and communities. Now let us talk forward, what to do here and now.
So that was very interesting. As working at the Social Science Research Council, we're working on the project and seeing how we can work with both indigenous knowledge as well as strengthening research capacity and building on these things. And it would be more practical, I guess, to do the Zululand, to build on that project and to see how within the existing structures and expanding those and improving on that, see how we can learn from local communities.
All of us, were one time tribal peoples. All of us were connected to our territory, our place, but we've become, detribalized or whatever you call it, derooted, and we now float around in a kind of new forms of cultural identity, maybe even global identity and so forth.
I think it's very exciting. I've really learned a lot. For the Social Science Research Council, the Science Shop idea is a bit new. One of our models is necessary knowledge that will help transform society. But in fact, it hasn't really worked as much with local communities directly. So it's very interesting to see the different approaches to this, and also the diversity between, we had an example from China, we have some examples from South Africa and Uganda here. Then a lot of them are European, and then the Canadian approach is again different. So I think that diversity between them and the different emphasis is very interesting.
The centrality of place came through to me. That's the most powerful message for me, is how when we're talking about community and in community engagement, you know, what does this really mean? And how do we not only, you know, share knowledge with the community, which I think has been more the way universities have thought, even science shops have thought about this, but how does the awareness of community transform, you know, universities? And we had questions. Another question from the audience was, well, what does the engagement, what impact does the engagement of the students in a community have on your own teaching? And these are deep questions. So the importance of place, the importance of community, but in a deeper way, and I think the challenge to go beyond simply being, you know, sharing knowledge, but actually using our knowledge to transform the world.